It's a big deal.
Addi, do you love your sister? Hi, Sophia.
Sophia, say hi.
How are you? Look,
And we can
matching
mute
clothes on?
the cartoon too, so that it's not like in the background.
What is this, Winnie the Pooh?
Oh yes, we like them all.
Do you guys like Bluey?
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
I love Bluey.
Yeah, we like Bluey too.
How are you, Sophia?
It is a cold day in Waterford, Ohio, but inside this lovely house is a very warm welcome and a new feature family for February 2022. My name is Seth Carnell, and this is the Go Shout Love podcast. This year has brought many blessings to the Go Shout Love team, which begins with meeting these incredible families in person once again. Today, we are talking with Stephanie and Rodney and their little girls, Addi, who is a spunky 2-year-old, and Sofia, a beautiful 6-year-old who has leukodystrophy and epilepsy and is our feature kiddo for this month. Now, I will let Stephanie and Rodney tell you about Sofia and her diagnosis, but I want to give a very brief preparation. Sofia is a beautiful girl with an incredible smile, but leukodystrophy is a difficult diagnosis to fathom and comes with some very tough discussions and questions. This conversation has it all, and we are very grateful to both Stephanie and Rodney for opening their home and their hearts. They share with us their full selves, from the struggles of Sophia's medical journey and her regressions to the joys they experience day in and day out as a family and with their community. This conversation can be summed up in the words spoken by Rodney: koala hugs. You'll find out more about that later. Leading this conversation is Josh Veach, our executive director, Jessica Santo, our family relations director and talented photographer. And you will also occasionally hear our social media coordinator, Paige, as her and little Addi are living it up in the toy room, and they are clearly having a great time.
Addi, do you have a playroom?
Yeah.
Do you want to
Go
show us?
show
Do you
them.
want to show us?
Addi, show them your new
Say,
refrigerator.
come on.
This personality.
Yeah,
She's a ham.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun for sure. You can't be in a bad mood when she's
I'm a
around.
fix-
Okay,
look at
she's
that
showing you her
wall.
refrigerator.
I love it. Is that new? That is a refrigerator. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you get that from Santa Claus?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And look at your really cool wall.
Yes. My husband actually painted this mural, and
Oh my
this is
gosh.
Addie's handprint and Sophia's.
I love
And then we'll
Great.
eventually add baby Everett's up there.
Did you say baby
Everett. You already
Everett?
have a
Yeah,
name.
Everett. That's the name. Yeah, Everett Lane. Yeah.
Very
He's
cool.
he's coming right back. I think, I don't know. He
Is
ran
that a
upstairs
secret
real quick.
in case I don't want to...
No. You can air it. It's fine. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So
you like this room,
do the girls
Sophia?
have, are there like
Hi.
reasons behind their names, or how'd you come up with their names?
So Sophia, I've actually loved that name ever since I was a little kid. Like all my baby dolls
have
were always
pretty
named
brown
Sophia.
eyes.
And then my grandmother and I always watched the Golden Girls.
Oh, yeah.
Sophia was our favorite. And Adeline, we were just driving and we were just saying names out loud. And there was 2 names we liked. We kind of put them together and came up with Adeline. So,
That's awesome.
uh-huh.
Adeline,
yeah.
you look
So it's
like
been
your daddy.
maybe a little bit of season of mourning in this house over the last
Yes.
week or so.
Yes.
You're not alone.
Yes.
Jess is a big
Yeah, I'm
fan.
a big Golden Girls fan too.
It has been, yeah. And I tell you what, Betty White, she is just a hoot. Like, I think she's hilarious. I've always loved the Golden Girls. I have a
My
coffee
daughter
mug and
Lucy and I
everything.
watch them every single night before bed. So
Yeah,
it
I
was-
know. It's always on like Hallmark and TV
Yeah.
Land.
You got more
Well,
ice?
especially with like medically complex,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, it's an
regardless of how any
That
of
is
us
an eggie.
feel,
Very
like
good.
when you have a child who
You
has
okay?
immune issues,
Yep.
or if they get sick, like she could have regression with
Right.
illness and things like that. So, you know, it's I was hoping she'd give you some smiles.
Yeah.
And that her regression is kind of the big thing that you guys are dealing with, right? And
Yeah.
as far as like equipment that you need,
Yes. Yeah.
because her
So
regression's happening quickly, right?
it happened very quickly. So she was in the hospital 3 times, kind of back to back. So the first one was dehydration, and then the G-tube surgery because she lost her swallowing abilities, and then a return of seizures. So all those things back to back, we think is what kind of caused the major regression. So for example, in September, she could still sit up and hold her head up. She didn't have to have, the neck collar. She was still walking in her gait trainer, which is like a walker with a little more support. And, she can't do any of that now. And with leukodystrophy, it is a progressive neurological disorder, so she probably won't regain those skills back, and we're going to need more equipment as time goes on. And her wheelchair that we just got in June that took 6 months to get because of lovely insurance doesn't tilt like how this can tilt back and forward. So she can't use it now. $4,400 wheelchair.
And it took you 6 months.
Yeah. And we only got it because my insurance denied it twice, and I found an organization locally. She had 2 sons pass away from a type of leukodystrophy, which is her primary diagnosis. And she right away called, gave them her check or credit card or whatever, and we had it in a couple weeks.
Wow.
When we had been fighting insurance since the February before. I'm like, so, but yeah, it's just, I've learned so much about, you don't realize all the things that we take for granted, like sitting, standing, positioning, rolling over in bed. She needs repositioned constantly. She needs special seats just to sit up, and we, lots of different pillows and suction machine and bath chair. It just never ends, it feels like.
That's a new thing every day, probably.
Yes, honestly, yeah. I mean, it really does feel like every week there's a new symptom. Like we're adding pulmonologists to the list of specialists now, and I didn't even really know what a pulmonologist was.
Remind me what that is. I know I've heard it before.
Well, I don't know. I think it's just to do with like the lungs. So like with her having trouble with secretions and saliva, that's the specialist you would see for that sort of stuff.
And you said that really all of this regression is just within the last few months.
Yeah. Now because she was a typical child, up until about 3.5, she started having seizures. She had some minor speech delay and some little things that were pretty not majorly noticeable. She seemed pretty typical. And we didn't see a lot of regression for about the first 6 months, and then the leukodystrophy diagnosis, we got that because of genetic testing and an MRI.
Okay, and so at that point she's around 4?
Around 4, yeah. And I would say maybe around 5 is when she started having balance issues, couldn't walk up steps, and then it kind of just was kind of slow from there. But the past few months, it was a quick regression, yeah. But the past 2 years has been a consistent regression, pretty much, yeah.
But to go from like she hadn't had seizures in how long?
And so she was seizure-free for a few months, and then we dealt with seizures up and down for about 1.5 years. But then she did go back in the hospital because they were a lot more frequent. But they've been, knock on wood, controlled for probably a month or 2 now. So
is that just because they found the right medicine to help?
Yeah, so she's on the kiddo diet for epilepsy.
Yeah.
And then so we increased that and we switched out of medication, and that's what worked. So we're going to leave it be.
Great.
And hope for that continues, So we did have a follow-up MRI when we were in the hospital recently, and they did see that her disease had progressed. So that explained the return of seizures is what, her medical team is thinking. So
what was really hard is whenever we were first dealing with the seizures and she was still able to walk and everything, a lot of the regression was hidden in the fact that we weren't sure if it was medication induced or so like we'd be walking along and she would just, randomly drop. And we thought it was to do with this new medication that we were still trying to up and up and up.
Right, with seizures and
But,
stuff. But
it turns out it was just regression.
Have you learned to celebrate wins, and maybe in a way that you wouldn't have expected?
Yes.
So I know, at least for me, it's for what most people would consider the dumbest little things. Like, what was it, yesterday? It felt like she actually recognized me a little bit more and was tracking me.
Right.
And that was huge.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It was your idea.
We should have had my mom stay just to
This is
entertain
good.
her.
This
is
is
life.
You wanted a little taste of it?
No, this is life. This is real life. That's what we're after. So we've talked a little bit about Sophia's medical journey, but tell us about her as a little girl, like her personality and all the things that make her tick. We know that the toot noises help with the smile.
Yeah, those
But
get her smiling.
That's funny.
who is she as a little girl, as a little person?
Yeah. So she loves Disney movies, animated movies. We just went to the movies recently, which was the first time in a couple years because of COVID and everything. So we seen Sing 2. She liked that. She loves being at school and just being around other children and really just being around other people. You know, it just seems like she's happier that way. So what else? We did hippotherapy in the summer. She loved riding the horses.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know that she'll be able to now, but she did get to experience that, so I'm glad she got to.
Is that
I mean,
because
she
she
loved
can't
it.
sit up as long?
Because she can't sit up and hold her head up. I'm going to reach out to them and see if it's something that's still doable. Maybe they have some type of equipment they could put on the horse. I'm not sure. But she loves swimming, playing outside. What else? What am I missing? That are her sled riding, swing set, swinging. You know, all the typical things that she enjoyed before her disorder. We just have to adapt everything now, you know. So my mom actually got her for Christmas a special needs swing that has more support that we can put on our play set. And we're really lucky. There's actually a local playground that's got a lot of special needs equipment on it, and her school is purchasing her a swing also for their playground.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, oh my gosh, they've been fantastic. So, yeah, puppies and animals, fish. We recently found out she loves to watch fish. Like, I mean, I've taken her to the aquarium, but
give her a
just
little kiss on the head,
recently we
Rodney?
visited a couple's toom, and they had a saltwater
Maybe
tank.
toot in her ear.
And just the real bright colors, you know, and all
Yeah.
that. So, music, she loves music.
Any specific
Wearing it out.
fun genres of music?
She's
That's
tooted
enough.
out.
We listen to a little bit of everything in this house.
Yeah.
What would you say
So
her
overall,
favorite?
the household is everything but anything Disney or Mickey Mouse. I mean, even before all
Right.
this happened, it would just drive us nuts because it was hollering for Mickey.
And I would actually play it in my
soundtracks.
car, you know, and he's like, "Oh, you're such a good mom for listening to this."
Have
But
you
she
seen
loved it.
Encanto yet?
Oh yeah.
Listen, I love it. I think
so
it's
good.
so cute. But again, with the colors and the music and the animation, she just loves all that. You know, I think most kids do, but we were a little worried with her recent hospital stay. We thought she was losing her vision. Just some things we were seeing and she wasn't tracking. That's why when he said she was tracking him the other day and like really watching and smiling, it's one of those little things that, you know, you get excited over.
So this was all stuff that she had been doing before.
Yes, before the hospital stay. Yeah, she was
So how do you handle those
changes. Yeah, it's a lot, honestly. Every day is really different. My emotions are always all over the place. So, but you really don't have a ton of time to grieve it because, I mean, I have to take care of her. She's 24/7 care. Addi keeps me going. I work, so I don't really have a lot of time to think about it.
You're also growing that baby.
Yes.
The best and worst thing I think to ever happen is your phone giving you memories
Oh,
that
God.
pop up because
Yes, Facebook memories.
like when we
Yeah.
first moved into this house, it was before any of this came to
Yeah.
light or anything like that. So we have like videos and pictures of like her
Right.
chasing me up and down the hall upstairs and stuff and
Right.
singing to us. And
Right.
Now, how old was she when all of this regression started?
So the seizures started around 3.5, but I would say the regression started around 4.5 more
Yeah, I would
so.
say probably about 4.5 is when they started.
Right.
And we probably realized it
Loss
like
of
around
abilities,
5
yeah.
that she was like losing them instead of just being medication.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes, yeah.
Because we had, you know, obviously you're like, oh, she'll get it back once we get off this medicine. So we had
But that didn't
slowly
happen.
wean off the meds because you can't just stop them abruptly.
Right, the seizure
And then
meds.
nothing would ever come back. So.
Yeah.
So with you being an RN, were you seeing anything that startled you, but you didn't necessarily want to bring attention to it or anything?
It was more the hope of things.
Oh, okay.
Right.
There was a lot of realizations that I didn't want to bring up.
Yeah. Gotta take every moment.
And that's the thing with a lot of, well, I won't say a lot, but some disorders, you know, there's regression even with just epilepsy. But when you get seizures controlled, you will see things come back. And we would see that for quite some time with her. Like, she would lose abilities, we would get the seizures controlled, and she would regain some things. But then with this latest regression, even with the seizures controlled, she still isn't sitting up, holding her head up. She can't like hold and play with toys anymore. You know what I mean? There's just, obviously she's not saying words. Because she did have vocabulary, and even with some regression, she could still say some words and a few words together. But, you know, that's what's been the hardest part, is kind of, we always had hope that things would keep coming back, and then they haven't been. And I think we're realizing that they're not going to. So just kind of accepting the new normal, I guess is what I call it.
And we would always have, it would always come back to like the same conversation, like once every couple months. If she would have a regression or if it wouldn't come back, it would be, okay, is it the new medicine? Is it the dosage?
Right.
Is it the diet? Or is it just her disease? And like, you never wanted it to be the disease.
Yes.
And we would always talk it through. And once we got to that point, we would just kind of find something else to talk about. So it was just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, her G-tube was something you really had to advocate for. Is that right?
Yes. So, and that was, and see, it's hard as a parent because there's a lot of denial. At least I experienced a lot of denial throughout these past couple of years. Like, oh, if we just get the seizures controlled and all these different things, she'll eat again on her own and she'll swallow fine. But we did the swallow study, and she had silent aspiration is what it was called.
That is scary.
Right, yeah. So, and we tried the thickened liquids, and she just didn't like it. So she wasn't getting the right fluids. She wasn't getting the proper nutrition, and that's why we ended up in the hospital with her with dehydration twice, actually. And then finally, the NG tube first. We did that immediately. And then about a week later, the G tube, which I pretty much told them I want the G-tube ASAP. And her team at Akron Children's Hospital did a great job getting it a week later, because not every parent experiences that. Some wait months and months with the NG tube, you know, in the nose. So.
And really, I think that's right around the time palliative care came aboard.
Yes.
And truthfully,
they've been
they've
a godsend.
been,
Oh my God.
to say the least. I mean.
Yeah, they've been fantastic.
She has been. I can guarantee you that 90% of the parents out there wouldn't go as far as Stephanie has, or as, you know, fought as hard. And she got things done, but it was always timely.
Right.
And that's no fault of hers. It's just the system, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Right.
But with the palliative care team, things happen
Yes.
a lot faster.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's, I'm sure, exhausting when you're the one
is.
doing it. So if you're
It
doing all the
is.
work and it's taking longer,
Right.
and it's robbing you from time with your daughters and time with your husband
Right.
and all those other things,
Right.
to be able to offload that to people that can bypass all the red tape and get stuff
Literally,
done.
I felt like a weight off
Yeah.
my shoulders, you know. And then when you're frustrated and you're doing all this extra work to get these answers or get this help or get her needs met, it affects your mood. And then you go home and you take it out on your husband or your other child. You're short with them, and that's not fair.
Right.
You know, it's just such a vicious circle. And then recently we were denied Medicaid, which is, I mean, hard to believe, but we're appealing that process, you know, because my private insurance through my employer unfortunately denies a lot of things. And Medicaid is just an easier process a lot of times with kids with medical complexities and a lot of needs. And we would get in-home nursing, which would relieve some things for me so that I can just be a mom.
Well, and with your
I'm a
baby
nurse
coming,
24/7
too, like,
to her.
You need help.
Yes. Yeah, it's just all, it's not that any of it is hard, you know, but it's just all so time consuming. Like, you know, meds, repositioning, changing her if she
It's a
gets
lot.
a wound from, you know, just her sitting on a certain area of her body. You know, it's just, it is a lot.
In the face.
Yeah. And my mom, she helps a lot, but she's 70 years old. You know, so, and in fact, a lot of any fundraising or things that we do from here on out is going to go towards a bedroom for her and an adaptive bathroom. So,
Yeah, right now. So I work fairly long hours, and she's 90% of the caretaking, and then her mother does watch the kids. So her bedroom's upstairs, our garage is down in the basement because it's a pull-in garage where she parks. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but carrying somebody that's 50 pounds,
4 feet tall, dead weight.
and it's not, she can't help at all.
Right.
Like even a baby like Addy, you know, a 1-year-old, they can posture, they can hold their head up, they're not flailing around. I mean,
kind of hold on.
That type of weight
Yeah.
is very, very, very difficult.
It's very difficult.
and then the only bathroom that we have that has a tub is upstairs. So no matter what, you're getting her up at least 1 flight of stairs every day.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm 200 pounds, and it's hard for me to get her
Yeah.
in and out of the tubs, let alone, you know, my wife or her mother.
Right.
So it's.
And I've explored every avenue, but there's just no financial or help funding for any type of addition. It's only modification. And then same thing, even with our stairs, we can't do like the seated, I don't know what they call them, that you sit the child or person
Yeah,
in.
kind of
they
like
go
the escalator chairs.
Excuse me. So I've exhausted every avenue I can.
Addie would have a heyday with that.
I know she would literally probably stand on
would.
it and just go up
She
and
would
down.
think that is the coolest thing ever.
I
And
know, she would
obviously,
love it.
if any of this would have come about prior to buying the house,
Yes,
we would have
clearly.
went
You're
with a
shopping
single
with
level.
those things in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's just we love it here. Her school's
this is your home.
fantastic. I mean, to uproot our family to somewhere
tired.
else, she probably is. Yeah.
Put her in a pea pod.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Nice and cozy.
How long ago were those Disney pictures taken?
When she was 3.
When she was 3?
Yeah, so those
that
are
was-
from when she was 3.
Is that 3 or 2?
No, she was 3. Yeah, and I'm not very good at changing out pictures, but I think some of it is also like a mental thing for me too.
Absolutely, it is,
You
yeah.
know?
Hi, my love.
And then you can just, if you want to just scooch her up this way.
I got it. Ready?
There
There's
we
that
go.
pea pod again. I think that
That's
is the
awesome.
coolest
These
thing
Yes.
ever.
Are so awesome. So there's a organization called the Jackson Project, and they had a child pass away of leukodystrophy. So they help fund different things like this for families because insurance does not typically cover a pea pod.
So one of our
But-
families this month, Maddie M, has a pea pod.
Yeah, I
but
watched
hers
that
is on
video.
a chair, on a.
Like in a
pulley,
stroller
like,
thing.
Yes,
stroller.
so you can get that too. So you can push it
It was-
around, which
it's
is
huge.
yeah, I know.
it's
Yeah, this is a
amazing.
medium. They do get up pretty big, so
That just looks so comfy for her.
it's nice and comfy.
It's just crazy. The majority of the help that we've received has been through like private organizations like that. It hasn't been through insurance. It hasn't been through the people that are
Right.
supposed to be there to help you.
Yeah.
It's been through people that have either gone through something similar or just out of the kindness of their heart are just genuinely good people.
It's frustrating.
It is.
It's amazing to have that, but it's frustrating that you have to
No.
go through
The only
those
silver
avenues.
lining of it, and I tell everybody this, is like I consider myself a realist and, you know, very viewing society as it is. But this has brought back like a little bit of faith in humanity.
Oh,
like,
big time.
I
Yeah.
like that.
a lot of people and a lot of groups coming out of the woodwork, like unprompted, they just want to help.
Yeah, we have had a lot of friends and family in the community. Her school has had fundraisers, local businesses. And truthfully, that's how we've gotten all of her equipment so far, I'm pretty sure.
At least the majority of it.
Yeah, and every piece of equipment is thousands of dollars, like $3,000, $4,000, $2,000. It's not like it's $100. And you can't just, you know, if Addie needs something, I just go to Walmart or Target and buy it. These things take weeks and months. They're custom made. So like, for example, she's been out of school since October. Granted, she had some hospital stays, but we've been waiting on a special needs stroller, which we had to have a fundraiser to pay for so that she could return to school because obviously she needs all of that support. So, and that has taken a couple months, but it's being delivered Thursday, thank God. So she'll go back to school next week. So we're excited about that. Yeah. Hey, nice and cozy in there. That's so comfy. Is that so comfy?
Yeah, it sounds like Addie's having a good time back there.
I know. I figured she would take to her pretty good. She'd take to anybody once you just play with her for a little bit.
Yeah.
Has Addie learned any
feed her.
lessons in this journey with her? I know she's still little, but I'm sure she's.
I don't know if she's
I don't think she realizes
if
it.
she comprehends everything right now. The
Right.
one thing I think that is going to, another good thing that'll come of this is the fact that she's going to grow up helping, seeing this, and hopefully
agree.
hopefully we can nudge her in the right direction to, you know, really not take things for granted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The only bad thing is she never got to see Sophia
Right.
running and playing and everything like that. So this is
Right.
the only Sophia that she knows.
Right. Right.
But
yeah.
I mean, hopefully she doesn't take anything for granted, and hopefully she's.
I'm interested. I don't know how to ask this question. It's a hard question.
We're very
Emotional.
well. We're very comfortable with just.
I just like as a
frank
mom.
questions.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I'm trying to put myself in your situation, trying to figure out, would it be easier if she had never done that?
Oh, yes.
Or
This is a
is
good
it-
one. I know.
Or
yeah.
is it harder that she has?
Yeah, that is such a good question. And I've thought about it too. I don't know what would be easier for me. Sorry, it just takes a
You're
minute.
okay. Take your time. Just breathe.
But I would never want to have missed out on what I've gotten to experience with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because she was just, oh my God, and she's still amazing, but she was just so full of energy and so loving and so sweet.
There's some slide.
Is there? That's okay. If that's the worst thing I experienced. And I would never want to have missed out on all those things. And she really has experienced a lot. I mean, we've been on vacations and, you know, I would never want to have missed out on all those memories with her. And it's not that we can't make those memories still now. They're just a lot more difficult because everything has to be adapted for her. Just leaving the house is a lot of work. So I was always going with her. I mean, every weekend. The zoo, the aquarium, like I said, vacations, Cedar Point, festivals. I mean, I was constant. I would take her by myself all the time. But now, especially adding Addi, I have to always have someone with me, so that's more difficult. But I think the pain now would be less if she was born this way, but then I wouldn't have gotten to experience all of those moments with her, you know, and I don't think I would give that up.
It's a very hard thing to wrap your mind around.
Yeah, it is, and it's something I've thought about actually. You know, what would be easier? You know, the pain would be less, but then you lose all those, you know, beautiful moments. So
Yeah. This kind of grief and gratitude having to coexist somehow in a
Yes.
really hard space.
yes, definitely, absolutely, yeah. It's changed me. Oh my gosh, so much as a person. I think I was always a good person, but it's just, you know, you appreciate the small things. You realize what's a priority and what's important a little more. And I try to be more present because you never know what's going to happen next month. And even like we had our wedding last November, right when all the COVID stuff was getting worse again. And the governor said no weddings, and it was like a week before, and I was like, oh my God, we don't know.
Geez.
And at the time, she could still stand, but she couldn't walk on her own. But she was,
She could still take steps if you held her hands
Yeah.
and held her up and balanced
Which
and
is something that not a lot of people
Right.
would think about.
right,
I mean, a lot of brides are going through
Right.
that situation, but to add something like that.
yeah. And I'm like, you know, we don't know. And that's what people would say is just wait, there's always next year, but we don't know.
Yeah.
And we really don't, you know. And so I was glad that we pushed through and had it. That was a very stressful
Yes.
time, but she still got to have a good time. Yeah.
Will you guys have to face the journey with a tracheotomy? Or with a trach?
You know, I'm not sure. Actually, that's a good question.
So,
You
I
might
mean,
know more than I do about when that's needed.
you really don't know.
Yeah.
And like I tell everybody, because, you know, especially at work, you know, if I'm at the clinic or anything like that, people ask me, you know, medical questions, and it's what the doctors told us, or they're writing a playbook based off of her.
Day by day.
You know, it's so rare, and it's so, you know, they just don't know anything.
Yeah,
So-
she's only one of 15 in the world with
And
her
how many
genetic
have you found
mutation.
out of those 15? You've connected with a couple
I've
of
connected
them,
with
right?
some. Yeah, there's a Facebook group with her gene mutation, EIF2AK2 is the gene, and I've connected with probably 3 or 4 other parents, and again, the kids are all over the board. Some are still walking and talking. Some are like her. Some are in the middle. You know, so we can learn from each other, but at the same time, we're also they're also different. How they've how their body deals with the mutation, I guess. Yeah. So she's a part of a research study, which these other children are in. Baylor College of Medicine in Texas is doing the research study. So right now they're just seeing how the mutated gene affects the cells on a molecular level, but who knows? Maybe a clinical trial down the road, but it will likely be a long time from now.
So was this just a random genetic mutation?
Yes.
You're not a carrier?
No.
Is that right?
That's
so this
correct.
has really no effect on Addie
or future children.
What's your little boy's name?
Everett.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so she won't be affected by it, and neither would any future children. It's just something that happened in utero is what I was told, is how it was explained to me. It's just a freak thing. And I was crazy when I was pregnant, like no caffeine. I didn't eat lunch meat. I mean, I breastfed her till she was 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I did all the right things, and it didn't, you know, it's something, you know, it just was going to happen is how I look at it, no matter what I would have done, you know, because you blame yourself sometimes, but there was no way around it.
Rodney, you mentioned
You hear
that
the music, huh?
this Sophia being the only Sophia that Addison
Do you hear the music?
will know.
Do you hear the music?
Or Addie.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're fine.
Do you hear the music?
But what's cool about that is that seeing her climb on the chair and love Sophia just the way she is
Hi, baby.
is building a compassionate and
Yes.
caring
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
human that will look at other people and other kids in a wheelchair in ways that most people
Right.
never get to.
Right.
And if they do get to, it's usually much later in life.
Right.
Yeah.
And that quote normal for her is, I mean, I just can't imagine the good that will come
Right,
from
it's
her ability
priceless,
to
really.
love people
Oh, yeah.
unconditionally
Absolutely.
and see beyond equipment and see beyond
Absolutely.
Yeah.
differences.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's something I think about sometimes. Not that I would ever want someone to experience this with their child, but I think if everyone had a little taste more of tragedy, the world would be a different place.
That's a very, very powerful statement and
Yeah.
a very true, hard,
Yeah,
but true statement.
right.
And I think we were guilty of it too. Not that there's anything to be guilty of, I guess, but you know, we were the same way before all this happened. I mean, we were living our lives, we had our own problems, and I mean, you would see somebody and you'd be like, "Oh, that's sad," but then you just move along.
But then you move along and don't think
And-
about it.
And now living this,
Yeah.
it's a very humbling experience, I guess, for lack of better
Yes.
terms.
You've changed a lot.
She has made me soft. Extremely. I didn't
Yes.
think I had any emotions until her.
Oh
so.
my goodness, yeah.
Now, was
She'll
this
bring
just
them out of
having
you.
a daughter from the very beginning, or especially on the medical journey?
So I'm actually her stepfather.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what, about 1 year old?
1.5,
One
yeah.
and a half.
Yeah, you've
So
been in her
I
life
came
since
into her
1.5,
life.
yeah.
So don't get me wrong, she changed me from the very beginning, but then falling in love with her and then seeing this happen, it's almost like it was,
Hi.
she was like a gift given to me, and then it was almost like she was started to be ripped away a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it like for you to see him fall so in love with her?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I didn't think he was that type of a guy either. So I was also surprised, and I've told him that before. Like, I did not think you were going to be the type of man, husband, father that you are. I'm glad that you are. But it was surprising, and I think she maybe like etched away a bit at some walls that were up. And once you feel that unconditional love from a child, I mean, even if it's not your blood, I mean, that's something that changes you as a person, I think. You know? Clearly. Yeah.
She's a very lucky little girl.
Yeah, she has so much love and support. And that's another way I kind of wrap my head around this is, you know, because you think, why me? Why her? But why not? I mean, why should it be anyone's child? I mean, nobody deserves to have that happen to their child. And she's so lucky that she has a loving family support. We have support on both sides of our family, so we can both continue to work. I mean, it could be so much worse, you know? And so, I mean, that's just how I kind of try to look at it for her sake. You know what I mean?
A lot of times, moms have support groups or they connect with somebody on Facebook or whatever, but a lot of times there's not that for dads.
No.
And I'm curious if you have found an outlet or connected with people that have been able to help you navigate the ranging emotions in this really difficult season.
No, I
He
do
bottles
the
it
really
all up.
healthy thing and just bottle it up and just push it really deep down inside. So.
It's the seems to be the natural thing for guys to do, and yet we don't learn the lesson that it's probably not the best thing.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had conversations before, and there's probably going to be a point where I, break.
Yeah.
But truthfully, I stay busy. Work keeps me busy between the two jobs, and then I actually do some woodworking and everything too.
Yeah.
So
That's a good outlet, I feel like, for you.
I was going to say, do you split the wood here?
Oh yeah.
I bet
Do
that's a
that
good
too.
release. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I just stay busy, I guess.
That's his outlet, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Outlet or distraction, one of the two.
Yeah.
Either
At
way.
least it's not an unhealthy outlet. You know, he
Right.
makes me things.
Yeah.
He, makes other people things.
That's
so,
right,
yeah.
How do you guys navigate it as a couple and try to keep communication open and be real with
that's
each
been a
other?
journey.
Well, truthfully, I mean, it has been. Obviously, there's going to be some rocky road, but I think we're really, really lucky in the sense that I'm a very, very blunt, straightforward person, and she's not. She doesn't hold that against me.
Yeah.
So I think I pull that out of her as well with me being that way. And eventually, it gets to a point, we'll let it go for so long. And then eventually it's just, listen, we have to sit down. We have to talk about this stuff, whether it's
Right.
good, bad, ugly, it doesn't matter. I think we've just been really, really lucky in the sense that we've always, from the beginning, we've had very good communication.
Yes.
Neither one of us gets offended very easily.
Right.
And it's just, we've been lucky in that sense because I don't know how this would have gone if it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
If we were a couple that kind of held back a little bit
Right.
on our feelings or what we thought, then I don't think we'd be in the scenario we are now.
Yeah,
truthfully.
he's a very good communicator, and he's just very mature. And sometimes I do like to push things under the rug, and I don't want to deal with it or talk about it. But he will say, "No, we're going to sit down. We're going to talk about it because your mood's being affected." And then you take it out on your family. You don't mean to, but so he's forced some of those conversations for sure.
Yeah.
You're
a healthy balance.
Yes, we are a healthy
Yeah.
balance. We've gotten back into date nights a little bit more recently, but it was hard when she was in the hospital, so we did go months without, any kind of alone time. But I've made it a priority that we need to, because it's so important to get away from this so that we can have time to connect and, just have fun and, not be constantly busy.
And truthfully, just as I mentioned, I stay busy. I think she has a tendency to do the same, except on a larger scale, to be honest with you. So when we were still going through medications and everything for the seizures, for the epilepsy, for really everything, there wasn't a moment that she had to spare that wasn't spent researching. And I'm talking, I might be in the medical field, but I promise you she could school me up on absolutely every angle of Sophia's diagnosis, the medication she's on. She'll tell the doctors where they're going wrong with the medications and how they're going to interact. And then on top of it, she also started a fundraiser, the Carnival for a Cure. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that, but and she dives in head first with that. So great. all good things in the end, but that was a point of contention for us a little bit, where she tunnel vision, and she'll kind of distance herself when she's not taking care of Sophia when she's to bed. Instead of family time, it was
and relaxing.
It was either research or the fundraiser.
Well,
so
and then you helped pull her out of that.
He did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
But
Yes,
I mean,
he did.
That's why we have partners. to do
And I
stuff
feel like
that.
you'll hear a lot of that from other parents, especially from the mom. We want to cure the child. We think this diet is going to cure them, or this medication or this supplement. And I've finally, after literally probably almost 2 years, I'm to the point where this is the path. I've accepted it. And now, like I was saying, I can be more present. I've accepted that there isn't a cure. I'm not going to change the story. So let's just enjoy the moment and, take a breather and, just kind of not focus so much on all of that.
What would you say to a mom who needs to be reminded of that?
Oh, you're not going to change the outcome, likely. You know what I mean? It depends on the diagnosis, of course, but something like leukodystrophy, that there is no cure, it is progressive, you're not going to change what's going to happen. So, focus more time on your family. Let the doctors do, their thing, what they're paid to do. But I always feel it's important to have an open line of communication, because I see her every day. And I know, what I think might be side effects and things. So you want to still have that with their medical team. But don't let it consume you. Don't, because I look back and I do regret some of the time that was spent that I could have been spending more with him or Addi or her or just myself, just relaxing. And you can't get time back. So just don't let it consume you. That would
really
probably
good
be,
advice.
yeah.
It's like you can work so hard to do your best to fix the medical side of things and miss getting to know your child in the process.
Yes, yeah. And the things that I would focus on, and he's told me it before too, enjoy what she can do now, because we've watched her lose things. Like, I was always thinking, if we control this type of seizure, she'll walk again. Or if, we improve this, she'll say words again. And that just didn't really happen. And so he would say, just enjoy now, because we'll look back and we'll miss that. You know what I mean, when it's gone. And he was right. So
say it if you want.
he loves to hear that.
But in all honesty, though, that's where you asked earlier if like the medical background had any information, and that's the hope I was talking about. As much as every now and then I'd have to pull her back into it, back to us, if you will. At the same time, it's a fine line, because I think a lot of that was therapeutic as well for her.
Sure.
To
Yes.
know that we've gone down every avenue. There's no stone we haven't unturned,
Yes.
and it's just riding that fine line of letting her do what she feels is right, and as much as she can, but at the same time, kind of keep her in check with reality.
Yeah.
Like, okay, even if we do cure this seizure, it's not going to bring back
Right.
what we had.
Right.
So it's
And that's probably a path that is unique to every individual. They kind of have to
Oh,
walk
yeah,
it and find their
absolutely.
own
Right.
balance and what's
Absolutely.
right. And
Yep.
Yeah, and I needed to go through that to get to this acceptance stage. But I will say, every ability she loses, I grieve again. So it's a continuous cycle. But I eventually get to some acceptance to where, I can enjoy her as she is, and not be constantly researching or thinking or wondering or what should we change, So it's all a part of the journey, I feel like.
yeah. You guys had used a few words to describe Sophia, including loving and silly and warm.
Yes.
And I'm curious, I'm sure it's easy to look back on the early days and remember how those certain things played out in that context. But how do you see those characteristics still in her and play out today?
Yeah.
I've always described her, even before any of this, like whenever I would describe her to my parents before they actually met her, is pure. I know it sounds
Yes,
silly
He has.
to describe a child as pure, because they're all technically pure,
Yeah.
but she was the most loving, kid I had ever met my entire life. And I have nieces and nephews, and my kids have friends and everything like that, but the most genuinely loving kid you'll ever meet in your life. Koala hugs is what I call them, but that's the thing I miss the most about, the old Sofia.
Describe a koala hug. What is that?
Literally the tightest hug you can ever imagine. Like, you would pick her up because she would want up, and she would squeeze your neck, and then the little legs would latch around you, and there's literally no way she could have ever been any closer, cheek to neck to everything. It was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
You can't really, going back to maybe some walls that might have been alluded to, you can't, those walls don't hold up to koala hugs.
No, that was definitely
I love that.
Yeah,
That's so cute. That is great. That's so true.
Not a chance.
They didn't stand a chance.
No. But I still see that in her. Like, when I say she recognizes me, it's not just that she recognizes me and she tracks me. I still see it in her eyes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that face, that little smirk that she has. It's still there.
Yes.
It's the visual koala hug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The laughing and the giggling for me. You know what I mean? It's like, because I was her. I mean, she had the goofiest laugh. And she can't laugh quite like she used to.
I heard her chuckle back there.
Yeah.
But she does get some good giggles going.
And the fact that she's giggling over the toot noise
yes.
is clearly a silly
and she
thing.
recognizes the silliness, and she laughs about
Absolutely.
it. So, those little things, we know that's still our Sofia in there,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, you guys referenced being not easily offended. And this is probably, I am obviously not Dr. Phil or any other relationship doctor, but a couple that is not easily offended and is quick to forgive and quick to give grace, there's nothing a couple like that can't face.
Right.
That's right.
And grace, oh my gosh, that is, we have had to give each other a lot of that, for sure.
It feels like we're testing the bounds of that every now and then.
Yeah.
But, knock on wood, we're still here.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
What does that look like, learning to give grace to one another?
That is a huge change for me.
Yeah.
Before all this, and even now, I struggle with it. I have a hard time letting things go. I guess I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I hold people. Well, I hold people that I care about to a higher standard. So I know what I would do for people, and I expect the same in return. But this has definitely humbled me in the sense that I can try to see both sides now, because there's just some things that are out of your control.
Yes.
There's some things that people are dealing with that don't allow for that. So you have to be patient and understanding.
Yeah.
So it's been
Well, it sounds like
lot of
she has
growth.
taught you guys
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and picking your battles. Gosh, have I learned that. No, I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, there's so many more serious things to fight about than, shoes being left out or whatever it is. I mean, it's just not, just pick them up and put them away. Is it worth the fight? It's really not.
I feel like that's one of the biggest things Go Shout Love Kiddos have taught me as a mom. The little things that my kids do. I'm like,
Absolutely.
let them do it.
Right. Yeah, the little lessons for sure. Yeah. You just teach all kinds of things, huh? I know, and it's amazing to me, like, the inspiration she's kind of been in our community. Because she has her own page on Facebook, and I update people, and she's been on the news. We've shared her story, and with the Carnival for a Cure, the charity that I started last year. And it's like does she even realize, what an impact that she's making on the community and all the people around her. But it's such a positive impact. I mean, regardless of what happens, like, what a legacy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I even have customers come in that, they're very similar to me, a little bit older, construction workers, or, these really what you would think to be jaded guys that you wouldn't expect them to care even if they knew what was going on.
Right.
And they'll come in and be like, hey, how's Sofia doing?
Yeah.
I was reading her update on Facebook, I'm really concerned.
Yeah.
Or, like, me and the wife want to, do this, or
Yeah.
buy you guys a dinner or something for the weekend. It's just, it's crazy the amount of people that she's touched or
I
just,
love that.
brought
And that's
together.
what's most touching to me. It's one thing for your mom or your best friend, but when someone who's a complete stranger or more of an acquaintance or, just people you don't think really even pay attention to what you're going through. They send you messages, or she gets cards in the mail and presents and, all sorts of things. I mean, it makes you feel a little better about what you're going through. It's like, okay,
And you're
people
filling
do
her
get
life
it.
with even more joy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it is isolating. I'm sure you've heard that word a lot too in talking to parents. But by being so open and vulnerable with her story, it allows other people to help you. I'm not good at asking for help at all. But by putting it all out there, it allows other people to kind of come into your world and see it. And I think people enjoy being a part of that too. Whatever way they can, whether it's, monetary or gifts or cards or just showing up to help, babysitting so we can have a night out. I mean, all those things make it a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, and even just like you mentioned, the notes of being like words of encouragement, or to know that someone's thinking about you, to know that someone has taken the time out of their day and had enough empathy to put themselves in your shoes and think about what you guys are going through is significant.
Right, because you wonder, because I'll share things on social media about her, and you wonder, do people really listen? Do they really understand? But I feel like that they do.
Yeah.
They see it and they care.
They don't fully understand, but they do try to understand.
They try.
And the fact that they're trying,
Yes.
I think there's something unifying about that, and maybe hopefully makes it feel a little bit less alone.
Yes, it does. And social media has been great, like you mentioned, with the groups and things like that. There's a couple groups for leukodystrophy. And those moms, I mean, I have some group chats with them, and you can just talk about things that you wouldn't talk about with just an average person, and they get it. You know what I mean? And that's been a huge, huge help for me mentally and emotionally, is being able to unload on them and, get resources from them, and it's been very helpful. So not a lot, like sometimes I want to delete social media, but there's a lot of good that it's done for me personally. So
You can find the worst and best of humanity.
yes. Isn't that the
Absolutely.
truth? Oh my God, that's so true.
At Go Shout Love, we do amazing things for amazing families with kids on rare medical journeys. Each month, we shout love for families through the sale of creative apparel inspired by the kiddos. This month's Known and Loved design is inspired by Sofia, Go Shout Love's featured kiddo for February 2022. Sofia's loving, warm, and silly personality allowed her to connect deeply with people at a very young age. Every purchase in February will be used to help remodel Sofia's bedroom and bathroom to be adaptable and accessible. Please visit our website at Go Shout Love to support Sofia through the purchase of a t-shirt, sweater, hoodie, tumbler, or other items. Thank you for listening. Go Shout Love wouldn't be able to make an impact on these families' lives without you, and we want that to not only continue but grow. So please share with a friend or family member, and please stay tuned to continue to Go Shout Love.